it. He claims it. There's no need to prove it.
It's okay. You'll come back tomorrow.
I tried digging up a bush yesterday. Big mistake. I saw a guy on TV yesterday. I swear he drew his beard on with a dull Sharpie.
Start spreading the news. Yeah.
Can a brother get a sandwich up in here or something? The cops and the firemen were kicking each other's butts.
Man, please.
Man, please. Man, please. Can we get on with it?
All right. Good day, everybody. You're listening to the Man Please Show. I'm your host, Trog, and it is 6 in the p.m. It's April 1st, 2015. You know what today is? It's April Fool's Day. But I promise you, today's show is not an April Fool's joke. Now, there may be some humor because I just have that funny bone. But for the most part, today's show is going to be very serious because I'm talking about a very serious topic, which I take very seriously. And I'm kind of wondering why a lot of other people ain't taking it serious too. I'm excited to tell you that I have a special guest in the studio in the Man Please Cave. He found his way down here. We had to blindfold him and tie his hands up, so he had no idea where he was going. But he's been a friend of mine for a long time. His name is Bob Sternberg. He's a retired photographer, and he and I have something in common. We both have daughters. And do you have a granddaughter?
Oh, yeah, I sure do.
So we both have granddaughters. We both have daughters and granddaughters. And that's what today's show is going to be about. That's why, I wanted to have Bob here to talk to sort of bounce ideas off of. And he's got a couple stories, too, that are going to be kind of fascinating. But, the title of today's show is The State of Our Youth. And it is the state of our youth. I'm going to kind of be harping. I don't know if that's the right word, but that's the word I'm using. And if it's offensive, I apologize. I don't mean any offense by it. But I'm going to be kind of harping on the girl side of it this time. But I think you'll understand where I'm coming from. I'm concerned about the state of our young women, and whether it be directly or indirectly, they're having an effect on our young men. Now, I'm not saying, trust me, I'm not deflecting responsibility off of the men onto the girls. It's all of their responsibilities. But I see a trend of things that are happening that I don't understand why I'm not hearing from people. And I'll give you some examples. Well, not examples, but I kind of want to preface this with something. Those of you, most people who listen to my show, like Bob and Susan and Ruth and other folks I know listen to the show are experienced people that have lived some life and have some life experiences and therefore have some wisdom. And they'll remember what I'm talking about. Back in the 50s and 60s, and if you've listened to my show long enough, you'll remember me playing some old Twilight Zone episodes. I used to call it Willoughby Wednesdays, which I would love to do that again. I love that. But as I told you then, I believe that the Twilight Zone is a historical document. It honestly documents the attitudes of people in the 50s and 60s. It documented what we did, what we thought of, what we dreamed of, what we, when we thought of the past, how far back did we think? When we thought in the future, how far in the future did we think? And shoot, by now we're supposed to have flying cars. So it was a fascinating time. But there's one thing that really stands out, and that is the way men treated women. Right?
Yeah, I believe it.
And I know that after that, or during that time, there were women raising Cain, and rightfully so, because nobody deserves to be treated like women were treated. And even before the 50s. I mean, that's just the time that I know of and that I've seen, so I can speak about it. You know, I didn't see how women were treated in the 40s and the 30s and the 20s and the 1800s. I've read about it, but I didn't see it firsthand. I've seen this. And so women stood up against it. They rose up and said, no more. No more are we going to be objects. And you know who taught these boys and these men to treat women like that? Their fathers.
Yep, that's true.
Their fathers taught them. So it was perpetuated by men. Okay, so that's my problem. You know, women have been fighting against that for 60, 70 years. And I think that women have made a lot of progress. I think women have come a long way as far as being treated equally. I also believe there's a long way to go, because I've seen that too. I've seen how men talk about women, just like I talked about on You Might Be a Racist show. I've seen how people talk about African Americans. So it's a similar thing. Women have come a long way, but there's a long way to go. But now there's a huge roadblock right in the way. And you know what I'm talking about, don't you, Bob?
Yeah, I've seen it, but I believe it's a portion. I believe there's a big, huge selection out there that are really good, but there's a portion that's really misguided and really...
But what spreads quicker, evil or goodness?
Mm-hmm.
Evil, because it's pleasurable.
Yeah.
You know, and being good and being doing the right thing doesn't seem to, on the surface, offer a lot of worldly pleasure. But the wicked things, oh man, all kind of instant gratification, all kind of surface pleasure.
And the media loves it.
And the media loves it, because that's what the people who are watching them want to see.
Yeah.
And so that perpetuates itself. Well, I'm so sad to say that now I believe it, and I have believed it, but I just, I've sort of just kind of put it in the back of my mind, like I do so many things until either God puts it right in front of me and I can't see anything but that, or circumstance that puts it right in front of me. And that happened recently. I was watching iHeart Radio Music Awards, and Rihanna, who herself is a victim of abuse by a complete and total loser, Chris Brown, she sang a song, "Bitch Better Have My Money." I ain't kidding you. That was the name of the song, "Bitch Better Have My Money."
Gosh, I really feel bad I missed that.
It was unbelievable. I mean, I've heard so many times women say, the word bitch is so degrading to women. And I get that. I have used the word bitch, but I totally understand how degrading and disrespectful it is. And, but I couldn't believe that. So women are objectifying themselves now. They're not waiting for men to do it. And I'll tell you how they're doing it. I don't know if anybody else watched that awards show, but I've I watched that, and I've watched many other programs that had videos from these female entertainers. And I guess if they got the business back there, they wear these real tight shorts, and they have some thug in the video with, sitting down or standing up, and she's turned around. I mean, she is standing in front of him, but turned around, bent over in a position that would represent a sexual act, and then she's bouncing her behind up and down, up and down. And of course, what kind of reaction is she going to get from the guy? Well, he's going to thrust himself in that direction, right? Y'all are picking up when I'm laying down. You know what I'm saying. So, what is that girl telling him and telling everybody else who's watching that video?
Yeah.
This is how I want you to value me.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to objectify me, because that's where I find my value, in my sexiness. So many women are having breast augmentations because that's where they find their value. They no longer find their value in their heart, in their spirit, in their character. And who's teaching these girls this? I'll tell you who's teaching these girls this. These entertainers. Because I have a 7-8-year-old granddaughter, and I know that I don't know, because I know her parents are very strict in the way that they raise her and in the what they let her see. But I'm sure that she has seen some of these, like, I'll give you a name. Ziggy Azalea.
I don't know.
Well, she's this new up-and-coming entertainer, and, all the men think that she's just hot. And they showed bits and pieces of her video on the iHeart Radio Music Awards. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, my gosh, I sure hope my granddaughter isn't watching this, because that's who these young girls are looking up to. That's who they're looking up to. And she's not the only one. There are dozens of them. These new young 20-something, 20, 21, 22-year-old. Well, we're young. Yeah. You're young, all right. And you have no idea what you're setting yourself up for when you get older. You don't have any idea, Let's see. You girls, they look up to these girls, and so I think it takes away their self-esteem. You were telling me, Bob, about that you have a sister?
Right, Ruth.
Ruth, that lives...
She lived in Panama City Beach, right in a campground right across from where MTV and everything is for spring break every year. She now lives in Michigan, but so I would go down there and stay for months with her, and all the spring breakers would stay in the park and all over the place and all the hotels, and I mean, her husband was a security guard at the big hotel right across the street, and I mean, they had a girl in a shopping cart, and they pushed her down on the 8th floor, down the rail, down the outside walkway as fast as they could. They hit the end rail. The cart went flying over the edge, and she happened to catch the railing with one hand and didn't go over and die. And it was all a big joke to them. They had her all so drunk they didn't even care.
Yeah, they had her drunk and was...
Yeah, they were drunk. She was drunk.
Yeah.
Nobody cared, It was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Well, that is so disturbing on so many levels. Girls are, for some reason, I don't know who's teaching them. If it's, unless, and I've harped on this too, it's these freaking reality TV shows, Real Housewives of Atlanta, Jersey, New York.
The Kardashians.